lifestyle, I don't do it for life.
Hi, I'm Jen.
Hi, and I'm Sasha, and this is No Guide for This, a podcast where we talk about all things adulting and adulting with kids. So we're going to get right into it today, Jen, and I want to start with one of my favorite segments, which is Can't Make This Up.
Let's do it.
We're talking about all things on social, and I saw something from, I think it was Heidi Montag, and it was about her on social. She had her child in a leash, and me being from Orlando, I go to Disney, and I see this a lot recently where parents they have their kids on a leash. And today's episode is about, yes, I'm judging, not judging. And so for me, back in the day, I probably would have judged. Now, not so much. But what do you think about the whole child on a leash thing?
Oh my gosh, so many feelings about this, Sasha.
Yeah.
I will definitely be the first to admit, children on leashes, like, not a good look for me. Like, certainly, like, pre-kids, I'm like, why are your kids on the chain gang? Like, not cute.
Right.
Definitely not cute. And I would say, furthermore, my thought about it is sort of like, if you are not the type of parent who can, like, keep your kids in order while you're out, maybe you need to stay home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is my pre-kid opinion.
Pre-kid. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Now post-kid.
Post-kid. So
Lots of change.
As you know, I'm a mom of three boys who, guess what? Despite my best efforts, yes.
Mm-hmm.
At times they can be rambunctious. We like to use the word spirited in my house.
I like that.
And so you can never predict when one of them is going to have a bad day.
Especially when you're juggling three, and maybe if you're alone, you've got three little ones.
So I will say my tactic has been to just not ever go out alone.
Okay. So okay. So
because I'm trying to avoid like that exact
needing a leash
scenario. So I think I've gone from definitely judging the leash, to being neutral,
to understanding why,
and just controlling my own sort of destiny when it comes to being out with kids in environments like a Disney. But I mean, I do think there are exceptions, and if there ever were an exception, it would be the Disney amusement park, Universal
You're in a public place.
Studios of it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you?
I used to judge this because it would give me the like, is that your pet vibe? Like, is that your child or your dog? Like, what are we doing here? You look a little like the same thing. I'd probably say, like, if you can't handle your kid, don't go out in public or don't be in this space. But I understand sometimes now parenting is different. You might be a solo parent. Maybe your child is what was very spirited, and is just very, like running around all over the place. And there's nothing that you can do to keep, maybe it's terrible twos or whatever it is. So I totally understand. And then I also think nowadays the world is just a very scary place.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine that feeling, that you kind of like your heart skips a beat when you can't see them for a split second. And you're like, where's my child? Or even for me, I'm like, where's my dog? Oh my God. Okay, it's there. So having maybe that extra, security measure if you are at a Disney or a mall or something where, I mean, nowadays with kids going missing is just like scary, like super, super scary. I get it more now. I definitely don't judge. If I see it, I'm like, Mom, do your thing. All power to you.
Yeah. I actually, you made me think of something that I have to actually fess up to. We had a birthday party for one of my sons the other week, and we were at a bowling alley. Like, nice, like low-key bowling situation, nothing crazy. And we were the party was wrapping up, and we were about to sing happy birthday, and it was for my 5-year-old's birthday party.
Okay.
I also have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. And so we were gathering all the kids from the lane saying like, okay, let's go sing, blow out candles, all that good stuff. And I was like, where's my 10-year-old?
Your heart skipped a beat for a
My
second.
heart skipped a beat. Yeah. We checked the bathrooms.
So it was a full moment, like we can't find him.
It was a full moment. We were like, pause on the candles.
Yeah. Where's
Let's
my child?
go find my oldest son. And it got to the point where I sort of had that Liam Neeson like Taken moment.
Like, I will find you.
It was literally snowing. I like went out in the parking lot to see if there were any like moving vehicles because we couldn't. I mean, the bowling alley was only but so big.
Right.
And turns out he was in the game room, like the arcade, where we had already looked twice, but he was inside of a photo booth.
Okay. Yeah. So the panic was real. I can only imagine.
The panic was real. And he's the one, because he's the oldest, that we give a little bit more latitude to, like a little more freedom. Like he can move around. Like he knows.
He knows what he can and can't
stranger
do. How
danger.
far. Yeah.
But in that moment, I was like, I should have had a leash on him.
Yeah. Right. Or a leash that's like near the table of the
Something.
bowling alley and he can't go too far.
Right. I was like, is his Apple Watch on? Is it trackable?
Right, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn, he didn't wear it today.
And that's the other thing, like the whole Apple tagging and
Yeah.
that's another thing. And I've seen that on social where they put the Apple tags in like the kid's shoe and
the
backpack,
shoe, the backpack.
which I think is such a great idea. I've done it for my dogs. So if I do it for dogs, I can only imagine I'll probably do it for my kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the stakes, some might argue, but I would say the stakes are maybe even a little higher.
100%
pets,
higher
but,
for yeah.
But absolutely. So I think it's really just about figuring out like what little devices, mechanisms, systems that you can put in place to control your environment as much as possible without being like so overbearing that you look like a weirdo when you're out in person.
And we mentioned something in another episode about like mom guilt and not feeling guilty about what you need to do. So I think that kind of goes in the same like, okay, judge me all you want. This is what works for me.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah. And again, like for me, I think there are certain scenarios, like going back to Disney.
Yeah.
We have sort of a minimum age in which we would even take a child to Disney. So I
that's
think for
a good
us
one.
is I think 4 years old was where we were like, okay, if the kid's not 4, why are we paying $200 for admission?
They're not going to remember it.
They're not going to remember it. They can't get on any rides.
That's true.
You know, all we're going to be doing is carrying them around while the others are having fun. Like, this sounds like a setup for failure.
Yeah.
So just finding those little sort of strategic ways to control the environment and control any pitfalls.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get right into it. So we're going to talk, a couple things about judging and not judging. But I do want to ask you, Jen, can you think of a moment recently when you judged another parent?
Ooh.
Or even subconsciously, maybe it wasn't something that you did on purpose, but you looked at something that another parent was doing and thought, or just had a second thought.
You know what? I will say I have been known to be a little bit judgmental. However,
in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
I think we all do it, so it's totally fine.
It is natural. A recent time where I've judged another parent, I do certainly have much more empathy now than I used to, but maybe a recent judgmental moment. Okay, movie theater. Went to the movies to see Captain America, and there was a parent whose kids were running amok. Now, these were not young kids.
Okay.
These were teenagers that were talking loud, getting up, going back and forth down the aisles. And I'm like, dude, like at this point, am I going to have a conversation with your teenager or am I having the conversation with you?
Yeah.
Because it's like, let's have some civility here. This is a movie that we all paid $25 to get in to see.
Right.
Like, let's, respect each other's time and space. And I think that's another thing that you have to really think about too as a parent. Like, do you have permission to like discipline someone else's kids?
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, what would you
think?
do in that situation? Would you tell the kids? Because I know some parents can get very defensive. Even if they know their child is in the wrong or there's something that they should have been doing better, it can kind of feel a little harsh for some parents to just all of a sudden hear somebody else trying to discipline their child.
It's a real
and I
thing.
think it's hard. I mean, for me, like I have friends that have kids and there's times like where I'm like, I really want to tell their child to like sit down and behave, but their parents are around and I'm like, that's their job. But then when like the mom or my friend like goes to the other room, I'm like, hey, sit down, behave, like, and I'll feel a little bit more comfortable to like tell their child to do something. But in front of the parent, I do feel a little like, no, I don't want to do this and I don't want to upset them. And what if that's not how they want to parent? What if they're cool with their child jumping on the couch and running all over me? So
you're bringing up something that is very real because no two parents are the same. And I can honestly tell you that I have seen friendships break up between moms who were formerly best friends who just had different approaches to what discipline looked like. And in fact, it's a scenario that I actually hold really close and I think about more often than even my friends know that I think about it. In short, 2 mom friends of mine had daughters who were the same age and the daughters got into a little conflict, a little bit of a scuffle.
Okay.
Where,
they were young, like
they were under 12,
right?
I think at the time. And the daughters, were maybe one was bossy, little like mean girl situation. One was feeling spoken down to. And, one mom really wanted her mom friend to step in and say, like, tell your daughter to, pull up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other mom felt like, why are you judging my kid?
Right.
And they ultimately decided to just
part ways.
And these were
Wow.
people that spent a lot of time together. And I was friends with both of them. And ended
Wow.
up only really keeping one of them in the divorce because the other
Yeah.
friend stopped coming around,
Yeah.
really and truly. And as someone who had younger kids, or my kids are younger than
Mhm.
theirs, it really made me think twice about when our kids eventually will have issues with each other. Like when you're
how to handle it.
when you're like early in your parenting days,
Yeah.
and like your kids are all like 6 months, 1
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
3 years old,
not
and
quite
you have these
interacting
play
yet.
dates. I mean, the kids are friends with each other because the moms or
Exactly.
the dads or the parents are friends, right? Like so they're like forced into these
Yeah.
play dates. But once the kids like have autonomy and authority of their own to pick and choose their friends and to like speak out loud, like, I don't like the way this person makes me feel, I don't want to be around this person, it can affect the adult friendships.
Right. And like that made me think, what do you do? Like say your son has a friend from school and he wants a play date, and maybe you don't like the way their parents are, like you weren't friends originally. It's they've made their own and created their own friendship, and now you're forced to be friends with that parent or see that parent or interact with them and see how their kid behaves. What do you do when that
Oh my
happens?
goodness. This is also, I mean, for someone who doesn't have kids, you were really calling out all the real scenarios.
Yeah.
I, as someone who likes to control my destiny, as I mentioned, as much as possible, this is awful to say, but I try to avoid play dates with parents that I don't care to spend time with.
Yeah.
I just will encourage and steer my kids towards certain friends. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like I want my friends to have their own organic relationships, but when they're really young, I mean, it can get awkward.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
really awkward if you have to be at someone's house sitting at the kitchen counter trying to make conversation for 90
Right, like you have
minutes.
nothing in common, and you're just here because your child loves that person from school, and
And
to keep doing that would be really hard.
And let me give you the real, like the lowdown on this. If there is like an awkward parent in the bunch or in the class, your other friends will give you a warning. Don't take a play date with Johnny.
Okay.
Trust me.
Yeah.
It'll be the worst 90 minutes of your life. Yeah. And I always appreciate a heads up.
Right.
Like it'll be like, either something is like weird with the house or like
or something
maybe like
weird. They do something weird, or they have a weird activity that they just stay clear.
Or they're just really awkward at conversation.
Right. Yeah.
They'll say like, hey, if you have to go to Johnny's house for a play date, bring your laptop and pretend like you're working. Like tips for survival. Tips for survival.
Yeah. And then you probably pass that along too. Like if there's like a new kid or there's something and you click with that mom, for instance, it's like, hey, just heads up.
Yeah.
Stacy over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the flip side too, you might see another parent at drop off and you're like, ooh, this parent looks cool. Or like they look like my type of vibe, or I liked her outfit. And you're like, and then you come home and you ask your kid, you're like, hey, are you friends with Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you and Johnny hanging out?
Okay.
And so it can work both ways. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned something like seeing the mom in drop off. Like, do you judge moms during drop off? Like that's something now I think of, like the whole like, is mom always put together? Is mom always got to look her best?
I don't even think it's about looking your best. It's just a vibe. So I don't really think it's as much about like, are they put together as much as the vibe. There's sort of a vibe check you can do to feel like you're on like a similar wavelength with another parent. And, the spectrum today of what parenting can look like, what it means is so wide.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for it. Like there's not just one way to be a mom these days. And so I think you kind of can identify your tribe.
So like if you see one that's maybe not in the right vibe, it's like, okay, I'm not judging her. I'm going to just be empathetic that like there's a lot going on and momming is not easy. So
and momming is not easy, but I will tell you, like not much has changed from second grade. Like I will go to school events sometimes and there'll be a pocket of moms that are in one corner that are kind of like chatting with each other that kind of are the same.
There's a little mom clique.
They're little mom cliques. And I've been to like school events and birthday parties where I'm like, I don't see any of my people here.
Right. And I'm feeling like the little odd duckling and
definitely
I don't know
feeling
how to
like the odd duckling. And I'm like, well, certainly you should want to talk to me. I'm the cool mom.
Right. But it's like, I seriously thought this stuff ended at like high school, but that's true. It does tend to like bleed into work and then career and
Yeah.
having your little tribe in work. And then I guess also in motherhood when it comes to like, okay, now I'm at a school sporting event or I'm
Yeah.
at a birthday party because my kid loves this kid, but I don't know anybody there.
You don't know anyone
Yeah.
there. And then that's when I'm going back to negotiate with my husband to be like, you're going to take this one, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Like, and I'm like,
Your turn.
And I'll be like, that's not for me.
Mhm.
So and he'll be like,
Mhm.
fine, I'll do it. So, even
Yeah.
now, and it becomes sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy too, because
Mhm.
if it's like, let's say the same circle of parents and I know like that's not my crew, they're not going to talk to me. I'm not going to talk to them. And I just have to like rough it for my
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Or have a really good excuse to like decline the invitation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you brought up partner. I did want to ask you, do you ever feel judged by your partner in terms of like maybe your parenting style or the way that you discipline or how you mom? I don't know. Yeah.
So just be warned, I'm going to flip this question right back at you.
Perfect. Yeah,
It's coming right back to you. Because this is a really loaded question, but it's also an easy one to answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do feel judged
Yeah. Mhm.
sometimes. And I think in my scenario, I have a good problem.
Right.
The good problem that I have is that my husband is the world's best dad.
Okay.
Literally,
that.
the world's best dad. He's so involved. He's the dad who's
active.
not only taking them to the sports practices and the games, he's coaching the team. He's the one who, will show up and like read for the pre-K class.
Perfect. Take that off the list.
He
Yeah.
is that dad.
Okay.
He's the one who's like, hey, he's like, there's a choir, like a concert happening on Friday at 2:30 in the afternoon, which still don't understand how that works for people that have jobs. But he's the one who's putting the calendar invite and just being like, that we have an event.
Oh,
today
he's
at the
really
school.
organized?
He's
on the
it.
organizer
He's
of,
on
of
it.
the
And
team?
He's really organized when it comes to the kids.
Okay.
He's taken the lead a little bit there. I can admit it. And anything life is never 50-50.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it's 70-30, 80-20, but I would say if I had to give it to someone, he carries a little bit more of that load.
Mhm.
And he likes it that way.
Okay.
And I
So
think
do you feel judged sometimes that he takes care of those things and that you're out there doing what you got to do and it's like that should be, I guess, technically your role,
traditionally, that is
traditionally
the
your
mom's role.
Mhm.
And I do feel judged. And I don't know how much of it is my perceived, like I'm feeling judged versus actually being judged.
Mhm.
And maybe a little bit of my insecurity about the fact that I'm not doing more of that stuff.
Mhm.
But the truth is, we've got 3 kids. We have a home to manage. I have more than one job. He has more than one job. We are juggling a lot.
Mhm.
And so I think the truth is that it takes a lot of different tasks and roles and hats that we have to wear to make the day work, to make our life work. And I keep saying, like, we have a big life. And anytime I start to feel overwhelmed by that big life
Mhm.
that we created, I have to remember this is the life that I wanted.
Yeah.
And so
Kinda
we're
have to
in it.
ground yourself a little and go,
Yeah.
wait a second. Like, this
Yeah.
is not a bad, like you said, good problem.
Yeah, it's a
to
good
have.
problem.
Yeah.
Like every now and then he'll be like, are you coming to the basketball game today?
Like, he just hints, like, probably not. I don't know if this is
And I was like, is this a trick question? Because I really wanted to
I have
go
a
get
lot
a
to do.
manicure.
like, I have a lot to do.
I know. I'm like, I have to
Yeah.
go on this trip, and
Yeah.
I really need to go, like, get a
Mhm.
wax, get a manicure, and so I do
Mhm.
feel a little bit judged. So now I'm flipping it back at you as promised.
Okay.
So do you ever feel judged as a partner and as a wife?
Of course. I think you touched on that. I think maybe it's just a woman thing. Like, we just really have a lot, like, we set high expectations. And then also juggling what's traditional and what's now, because I feel judged that there's a lot of things I wish I could do more of, or that I was maybe more homemaker type. I mean, especially in my marriage, my biggest thing is that I feel very like, I wish I cooked better. Like, I'm not a great cook, but that's a woman thing that we're supposed to, somehow it's our job. It's like, you're in charge of every meal and you're in charge of, and no, I was raised on like raviolis and Dr. Pepper in a can. Like, it's not my thing. So so I do feel, but maybe I'm projecting. Maybe it's more, I wish I could do all these things that I'm not. But Mo is he's supportive in that aspect, And then if there's ever times where maybe I'm feeling judged and are projecting, but I get very like, hey, if you don't want me to pay any bills and do all that, I will gladly stay home. I will gladly be that homemaker. I'll learn to cook. I'll do all that. But nowadays, who can afford that? And women, we have drive, we have ambition, we have other things that we want to do. So
Absolutely.
I mean, like I think he gets that. But I think we push each other to, like we get inspired by each other. Like, oh, you're doing XYZ in this thing. Well, wait, I should be like, get out of my funk and get back into it, So I think we balance each other. And I also think that I'm better at some things than he's better at and vice versa. So I might not be the cook, but he's actually a great cook. So I was like, okay, like you can take the reins on this. He might not cook all the time, but if he tells me, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, what are you doing for dinner? I'm putting it back on you. Like, what are you?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we probably judge each other a little bit, but, but if anything, we turn it around and we kind of try to inspire each other or not project that too much.
Yeah. You brought up something that I think is so important in a conversation like this. It's like how you were raised. Like how are you raised, I think really informs kind of how you move as an adult, whether you're an adult with kids or an adult who doesn't yet have kids. And I mean, similar, I don't want to say similar, but I was raised, my mom was divorced. It was just me and my mom in the house. And so I saw this empowered woman. She was a doctor. She would go out and go run the world every day. And I used to love that. And I wasn't looking for like some, 5-course home cooked meal every day. Like I was excited to root for her to go out and be a boss. And I remember just being so proud of her. I used to go to a daycare every day after school at the JCC. Yeah. And I would walk from school over to the JCC and it would be I don't know, 25 kids that would wait for their parents to come pick them up at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And my mom used to go on this talk show, and she would be like the resident psychiatrist, sort of like the Dr. Phil, pre-Dr. Phil stuff currently. But she was that sort of expert. And I used to have the counselors roll in a TV and make all the kids watch my mom on TV, and that was what made me proud. Yeah. It wasn't did my mom go to the bake sale and sell out her world famous muffins? Right. And there were other moms that did that that I thought was amazing. But I think it's just about celebrating what your gift is and how you're contributing to the world versus looking to fulfill someone else's expectations of what you think a mom is supposed to do. So I think in my own life as a mom, the fact that I'm achieving things and building things and trying new things and being bold and audacious and ambitious. I want to feel celebrated for that, not, feeling someone's where's the dinner?
Yeah. Or judging you for it, that you're not being the typical.
Right. Because that, maybe the 1950s that's not my gift.
Mom. Yeah.
That might not be my gift. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I feel like so many people will grow up differently. We have different family structures. Everyone is very different nowadays. So I think the judgmental stuff is not as prevalent as it was.
Totally. I can totally agree with that. Yeah. So another related question. What about your friend group? How do you, because I think you're at the phase where some of your friends have kids, right? Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like they're judging you and wondering when you're going to join the mom tribe?
Oh, for sure. 100%. I mean, we hear that a lot. But I've started to be a little bit more vocal with friends about our, infertility journeys so that they can kind of hone in on that, because it's not easy hearing that all the time. Hurry up, mine's already, my best friend and I, for instance, we'd always dreamed of I was going to have the boy, she was going to have the girl at the same exact time. And they're going to grow up together and they're going to, marry each other. And then we become in-laws and now we're besties for life and we're actually family. But things don't work out that way. And so being a little bit more vocal, because I felt like right after we got married, everyone was asking. And when we realized there might be a problem or it's not happening as quickly as we thought, it was being vocal with them so that they could kind of not put the pressure or judge, why aren't you yet? It was more they could be careful with how they were asking things, and just being a little bit more cautious that if it was my choice, I would have by now. But unfortunately, that's not how things work out. So yeah, just being a little bit more careful of that. But they do, they ask.
Yeah, they ask. And I think fortunately, folks are a little bit more evolved now. Yeah. And thank goodness we're talking about fertility openly. And it's not just there's one roadmap and one way to do it, and you just check the boxes and get your
and it's a scary
and
conversation to have with people, because it's really kind of you feel a little you judge yourself because you're oh my God, what's wrong with me? Because it does happen for some people. It's very easy, or it happens accidentally, and you're somehow, it's something you really want and you're trying and it's not happening for you. So you kind of feel what's wrong with me? And then you also don't want to put pressure on your spouse and other people to think, oh, well, was it him? Is it her? What's your family like? Do you have any other issues with your family? Is it running your family? And it just, it can like open up so much. And it's just so scary to even say that out loud to someone. Like, we've been trying and it's not happening. Like, it's a scary thing to say.
It's a scary thing to say. It's a scary thing to talk about. And I know even culturally, for some cultures, it's not something that's spoken about really openly. I actually have a girlfriend who recently just had a baby girl, and she's so cute. But she and her partner were on that fertility journey. Things didn't happen as easily as they thought it would. And here's the craziest thing. This is a crazy, funny story. She was visiting a fertility doctor in New York, going to her regular appointment, and she ran into her sister at the very exact same doctor. They did not know that each other were seeing this fertility specialist. They had
they're
never
blood
spoken
related.
about it.
They're siblings.
They are literally sisters, full blood sisters.
Aww.
And they have now they were pregnant at the exact same time, visiting the same fertility doctor, and they were like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Even for them, they felt uncomfortable telling their own family, like, I'm going to see a specialist about something, but I don't want to tell you because I could be embarrassed, or I don't know where I'm at right now, and I just don't want to tell you.
Or maybe they just only had the mental capacity to go on their own journey before inviting others in. And so you know what they did next? They then rang up their mom, bling, and they were like, Mom, is there something about our fertility, like in our bloodline, that you need to tell us about? Because we are both struggling with this and ran into each other at the same doctor. And their mom was like, oh, yeah, I had fertility issues.
See, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, like they could have.
And they were like, hello, did you want to tell us that this is something that we might encounter? And she was like, you never asked.
Yeah.
And so that just goes to show, like, for some people, you know, I get it. Not everyone is in a position to talk about it.
But
openly.
it's very different nowadays how much we're vocal, and we're more honest. Even with our partners, or like with men, we're more vocal. I think maybe my parents' generation, they didn't talk about these things. And even like miscarriages or things like that. Like, I'm finding out things about my mom now that I'm like, you went through a miscarriage when and why? Like, I knew there was a rough period, but in my late teens, I'm like, you didn't say anything. Like, you didn't vocalize this, or you didn't talk about this. Like, that would have been nice to know, or just even know your journey of what you're going through. Maybe I would have been not such a mean teenager, but at least now the landscape has changed, where people can talk about their feelings. They're not scared to say, I've got a therapist, or, you know,
for sure. And, you know, there's no one that we judge, you know, harsher than we judge ourselves sometimes, and the pressure we put on ourselves. And I think that like fertility is a perfect example, and you really kind of, you know, insinuated the same thing. You know, when I think especially as a woman, when, you know, your biological purpose is to reproduce, and it's not
and you
happening
feel like you
as
can't
quickly
do it
as you want it to. I mean, that is a huge thing to grapple with. And then once you grapple with it, embrace it, then you start researching your options.
Right.
And fortunately, the options are, you know, much more vast than they used to be. But you know, you made me think of something else too, Sasha. So I think there's judgment that can come from your friend group, you know, maybe when you don't have kids yet, or really from an earnest place, they just want you to join the party and be like, you know, the literal like play date party and all the other good stuff. But I actually had a friend once ask me, he and his wife are raising one amazing daughter. So they've got an only child. And he asked me, he said, hey, Jen, do you ever think people don't invite you places because you have so many kids?
Oh.
And I was like, do you not invite me places because I have
think
so
a
many
second,
kids?
right?
And so it literally never occurred to me
I will own it.
I
will own it.
Fess up.
So we just bought our first house last year, and I was so excited to be like the host friend. Like, I wanted to have all the parties. I wanted to do all the things. And our first party was the 4th of July last year. And we had some friends, and, you know, friends that have kids, all different ages, you know, all the way up until like teens. And I just remember the next day, and my husband and I laughed. I was like, I'm not having friends with kids anymore. And he said the same thing. He's like, oh my God, never again. And I mean, obviously we would never not exclude them, but just the exhaustion of, I mean, having our adult friends, and that was cool. It was the managing other kids, and then things were not broken, and maybe it's because it was our first house, and I was just like so happy to have people, but I was still like, this costs so much and I'm broke, and like this is my baby now. And to see like things falling or spills, and then just seeing the dirt everywhere, I was like, oh my God, these kids, like, this is a lot. So I've been there. I have said it before.
I appreciate
said
the
it in a good
confession.
heart where I was like, sorry to say this, but never again.
This is a no kid household. Well, just
Yeah.
watch your karma, okay, friend?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, watch this. Now I'm going to end up having a child that's like super rambunctious and just throws things and stuff's breaking left, right, and center. But
Oh, no, I mean,
So
listen,
I've said it.
Yeah, there's no lie in anything you just said. The way that I like walk around my house sometimes and I'm like, I can't have anything nice. I can't have
Right.
anything nice.
yeah.
I'm like, I'll be like well into my 60s before I can
Mhm.
like, buy anything nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
I get it. And you have a right to want at least the
Yeah.
first year in your new house to,
Mhm.
be protected and be sort of
Yeah.
precious. You
Yeah.
just got things set up. So I get it. But real life requires,
Mhm.
replacing shit the kids
Right.
mess up.
Yeah. 100%. And then that actually makes me think of like social media and how everybody looks so put together on social media. And then behind the scenes, their home is absolute chaos because, I mean, I do it too. I'll like curate the perfect little corner, but then behind the camera on my phone is just like an absolute mess. And so it's like, do you feel that pressure to like keep it all perfectly curated? Or are you like, I can't have nice things in this house and that's just how it is?
Yeah. It's sort of like, when you're dating someone for the first time and you're kind of dating their representative.
Yeah.
And then you like get into the relationship and you're like, oh, wait, remember when you used to, your representative used to do that.
Yeah. You're a good front. Mhm.
Exactly. So I would say this, I've become very, very comfortable with my imperfections and the
Yeah.
things I'm not good at. The truth about the roles that, that I play in my house. Because if I was holding myself to like this weird standard that is nowhere near my reality, it would cause a lot of, I'd feel very sort of at odds with myself every day. And my number one mission in life is to keep my stress as low as possible.
Yeah.
Because there's just already enough going on. So I don't feel like a need to fake the funk.
Yeah.
And because I was very proactive about not being that mom who needed to present as perfect, it has taken so much pressure off.
Right?
And
Okay.
and now I'm the friend. I'm actually in my like friend group, my immediate like girl, like
Mhm.
mom friend circle in my neighborhood where we all like pretty much do everything together.
Mhm.
I'm sort of like the wayward, like, I'm
Yeah.
the wayward.
Yeah.
I'm the mom that's like, oh, they don't expect me to have it together. Like, oh, you want something hosted perfectly, or you
Call
want
her.
something, call
Yeah.
her. And so because I'm not
And
that
you've
one that
owned
they look
it.
to,
Yeah.
I've owned it. It takes a lot of pressure off. Like,
Mhm.
oh, you want the trip to be planned perfectly or the itinerary to be done perfectly?
Yeah.
Call the other one.
Okay,
And
I
and
like
I've
that.
even had like one of my girlfriends who sort of does all the things. She's like a career girl.
Mhm.
She's a baddie. Like she
Yeah.
looks amazing. She cooks.
It's always put together.
She makes homemade gelato, and if you're listening to this, you know who you are. And she literally like she always like makes time for her husband. She does all the things. She's raising 2 boys, and so she said to me one day, she was asking me like, oh, are you gonna pick up the X or do the Y, whatever she was asking me, and I was like, oh no, I think Clyde's gonna do that, my husband.
Mhm.
And she goes, well, what is it that you do?
She paused for a sec, like, he
I was
does
like,
a lot.
I'm feeling a little judged in this
Yeah.
moment. I'm
Mhm.
feeling a little bit judged. And
Mhm.
and so, I think it's kind of a funny thing, but because I've very much accepted my role as this, ambitious woman who is doing all
Mhm.
these things, I know where my lane is. And
Yeah.
I don't have to be perfect at all the things.
And I like that you might feel like others are going to judge me, but I do not care. Like, I've found my lane. I'm doing my thing. Judge me all you want.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Totally. And I mean, what about you for social
Mhm.
media? I know it's,
Yeah.
I mean, because I love following you because you
you.
have a really,
It's all over the place, but thanks.
no, but but you're sort of in this sort of startup phase or sort of newer chapter of like you and Mo getting your family life set up, getting the house.
Mhm.
You've got the dogs. It's very aesthetic.
My favorite word.
Your
If y'all
favorite
didn't know.
And everything is sort of in similar colorways, and it looks very curated.
Mhm.
And I'm sure with intention.
Mhm.
How do you kind of resolve maybe the real things that might be happening behind that perfect curation?
Yeah, I like you mentioned, I'm kind of in that middle of like I curate everything and then I get a little down when I'm like, why is everything not so perfect? But finding that balance, I'm like, I feel like I'm in that thick of it. Like I'm literally learning as we speak, finding the balance of being okay when it's not perfectly curated. I mean, I still do like the house always needs to look good, and my office always needs to look like this, and we should look like this on social media, and we should portray this. But I'm trying to learn that it's not good for longevity. Like you said, managing stress, especially with infertility, the main thing that they're always telling you is, are you stressed?
Yeah.
And then I had to stop and really pause and think and go, why am I so stressed? Like I say that to him all the time. I'm like, why am I so stressed? Like, we have a great house.
Yeah.
I've got a good job. Like, I'm doing all the right things. Family is where it needs to be. Why am I stressed? Like, why am I inducing stress? Maybe I'm overthinking things. I have a lot of anxiety sometimes unnecessarily. I think even packing for this trip, I was like, I gotta do this, my to-do list. I need to go get this done and that. And I'm like, pause. This should be fun.
Yeah.
I should be enjoying it. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. Enjoy the ride. Stop feeling like everything. Social media, I think, does that to you. It makes you feel like when you're not looking camera ready or you're doing the right things, it's pressure, it's stressful, and it's like, stop. You don't need to feel that way. It's okay if it's not all put together.
Yeah. I mean, it's a game changer, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a total game changer.
Yeah.
And I also attribute the choices I've made around acceptance.
Yeah.
Like I said, my mom was a psychiatrist, so I also say that I got 21 free years of therapy before she sadly passed away. But I'm like, those 21 years, I mean, I feel like she set me up to, focus on the stuff that like matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you're on that journey, and it's an important one. Like, just woosah, we got to take it down and listen. And like they say, the only person that's paying attention to you and like in
Thank
judging
you. It's probably
gauging
you.
is you.
Yeah.
No one else cares that much.
I have to remind myself that a lot. I'm like, who is looking at, like, if I'm curating my feed, I'm like, is this a good cover picture? I'm like, who cares? Like, who is looking at this and going, oh, Sasha put that picture? Probably not. No, it's
literally
not like back.
No one.
And if
or
they
maybe,
are
maybe
stalking,
one person.
yeah. And if they are stalking or looking, it's like, I probably don't even know about it. And it's like, do your thing. Like,
do your thing. Do your thing. But I love this topic of social media because it's so, apropos related to the whole conversation around judgment. Yeah. So out of curiosity, I've got two scenarios in mind. So what are your thoughts about these glamour maternity photo shoots? Is that a thing, that you would do? And like, what's your opinion, your POV on those? Like, in the sheer chiffon, like blowing in the wind, hair, Beyonce fan, lashes on, giving life. What are your thoughts? And that's that's one setup.
I don't know why, but I feel like they're so cringe. Like, I can't.
So yes, you're judging?
Yes, I'm judging. Like, I mean, for instance, my wedding, I did not have a makeup artist. I did not get a video done. I didn't have a hairstylist. Like, I feel some of that is just too much.
no hairstylist?
You're like freaking out right now. Like, what? No, some of it it's too much. It's not realistic. I like to have that balance of like, put yourself together, but be real. Like, we don't all look like this. But I mean, I feel like maybe I'm just not girly enough. Some girls are very girly and they want that pretty dress picture. I do like the sentiment of having something that you can remember, though.
Yeah.
I do wish I had a video from my wedding.
I mean, you could have had.
But at the time when I was planning, I'm like, oh, who needs this? Now I look back, I'm like, oh, I wish I got one. So I get why they do it, but I feel like they're getting a little cringe where it's like you said, it's like perfectly curated on the beach with a beautiful gown. I'm like, who is on the beach in a gown? Like, let's do denim and a cute top. Like, let's make it look like it's shot on a phone and not touched. Every little thing on you is touched up. So what do you think? I
have some feelings. So I will first say that I never did one maternity shoot.
Okay, you didn't do any for your 3?
I never did any.
Okay.
It was not really my vibe. That said, I do understand why people want them for the memories. But have you ever walked into someone's house and they've got like a big like life-size portrait above their above their fireplace of like their pregnant belly, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
And listen, and
even if they're not pregnant, I've seen somewhere I walk in and I don't really
like
have many pictures, and I'm like, do we need a 10-foot photo of yourself? But
yeah,
okay.
I mean, I've definitely seen my share of maternity shoot walls.
Okay.
And I will say, listen, I think it's beautiful to capture those moments. And there's almost, I'm going to say something that's a little bit confusing. Being judgmental about that there's also something really cruel about being judgmental about that because
Mhm.
sometimes it can go the way of like you're actually projecting
Yeah.
because maybe it's something you wanted to do or you felt like it was too cringy. So you were
Yeah.
like, weren't bold enough and didn't
Yeah.
own it enough that maybe you wanted to capture those
Mhm.
memories or that, that you weren't okay enough with yourself to be like, hey, who cares what the world thinks?
Yeah,
I want this for
100%.
me. So I think where I net out as I sort of vacillate between the two is like, do you?
Yeah, do you?
If you are a Beyonce fan
Yeah.
in the fields, in the cornfields, like, do
Yeah.
you?
And that's one thing on social that I admire about a lot of women on socials when I see them posting things with no care and they're doing what works for them, even
Yes.
though maybe a photo shoot like that could be cringy
Yeah.
for some that would
Yeah.
view it.
Yeah.
They're doing what they do and they're so like open about it and they just no F's given.
No
Like,
F's.
yeah. And that I admire
I
because
agree.
I try to like hone in on that on myself.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's something very empowered by those who are just like, you know what? I'm going to post this content. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. And I'll tell you, I've had conversations with good girlfriends of mine who are like, they like they want to be influencers, but they don't. Or
Yeah.
they want to be content creators, but they
Oh,
don't.
that
But they think
famous
it's
word
cringy.
influencer.
Yeah, influencer creator,
Yeah.
wherever we land with
Mhm.
it. And it's like, they want to be a thought leader, let's say in the fashion space or whatever, but they're afraid to make content. They're like, oh, but it's
Yeah.
too cringy. I'm like, you know what? You got to stop judging yourself and just like go for it. So I agree. I think there's
Yeah.
something really empowered about people that do it. So the
Mhm.
other scenario that I was thinking of outside of maternity shoots is the perfectly styled and curated holiday photos. Oh, you're
We're
laughing.
getting to I'm giggling already.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have gone next level.
Well, they died out for a bit, I feel.
Oh,
And then
to
they came
me-
back again.
Oh, maybe I missed the
No?
die out because
Okay.
I just
They never died out for you.
last year to this past holiday season.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're wearing Vera Wang for the holiday
Oh.
shoot. Like it's getting serious. We're
Yeah.
spending
Your friends
thousands.
are in New York, so that's probably why.
There might be a little bit of that's going on.
Yeah.
I have some fancy friends.
But celebs do the same thing. Where
they
they're
do
all
this-
in matching like $200 pajamas each, and I'm like, can we get the Amazon ones? Like,
Yeah, I mean, so in that, I think
Yeah.
that's really what I'm remarking at.
Yeah.
It's gone. There's a trend, or not even a trend. I think it's actually very practical. Families will take family photos that they will then put on the holiday card,
Mhm.
and so of course it's a family portrait.
Yeah.
And so again, as the mom who like kind of doesn't have it all together, I've never taken not one family photo, and my oldest son is 10.
Oh no.
And so when I'm asked to like submit a picture, like when my kids like have something in school and they're like submit a family photo, I'm like, come on,
no.
come on, guys, let's do a selfie. And it's like a very undone, unprofessional photo. So I've not done one, and I keep saying like maybe this will be the year that we do it. Maybe this will be the year
Yeah.
that we do it. But the family photos are like, you've got the little kids in tuxes. It's a black tie situation. It's gotten
It's a lot. And I think,
full
like
on.
you said, in the spirit of not judging or understanding,
Mhm,
it is a good thing to have later. I feel like
mhm.
probably in the moment, same for you. You're like, who has time for this?
Yeah.
And I'm not about this life either. But then later, when you realize, oh my gosh, my son is probably getting to my height. I wish I had more of us. That he
Oh.
was like,
Totally.
yeah,
Totally. But like speaking of the extra level, it's gone to like I've heard of people that are like renting Airbnb mansions to do photo shoots. And I'm like, that's not your
What?
house.
no,
That's not your house.
Oh wow,
That's not your tree.
No,
What do-
I don't
what
think
do
I
we-
could. I don't think I could get my
what do we
husband to do any of that. He'd be like, yeah, right.
What do we do? What are we trying to project here? Like
That is that curated look again. That it's like, all right, now you're a little out of touch. Like this
Yeah.
is, and the ones that actually know these people are probably like, that is not your living room.
right.
That's not your tree. That's not your.
So
you
that
know? Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I
Yeah.
try not to judge, but that's definitely a scenario
Yeah.
where
Mhm. Yeah.
you can fall on different parts of the spectrum with it.
Exactly. Well, Jen, I want to move into our closing segment, and it's called "To Judge or Not to Judge."
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
I've already I've been a little too honest.
Right? Okay. So I
Already.
do want to ask you, and I want to just throw some scenarios out there and whether we would judge in the moment or not.
Okay.
So people on a train or a bus that don't give up their seat for a pregnant woman, are you judging that person who's not getting up, or are you like, this is 2025?
Okay. Not only am I judging,
Yeah.
but during my second pregnancy, when I was still commuting to the city like a crazy person on a subway, there was, I mean, my belly was, I did not carry small for not one of my pregnancies. and my belly was out to here. I mean, it was huge. And these people refused to give up,
Stop.
to get up. They
Okay.
wouldn't even look me in the eye. And so you know what I did? I recorded the whole thing and I outed them on Instagram. I
love that.
I was not only
Call them out.
disappointed, angry, and pissed, but I was
Yeah.
vindictive.
Yeah.
And
I can
I'm
imagine.
judging. And then I told them all they should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, I can imagine.
And then when they finally begrudgingly offered to get up, I was like, I don't want it. You enjoy your comfortable seat. So
right?
I was all the things, and I'm judging every single time.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, I mean, I don't have any plans to be pregnant ever
Okay.
again. But if I find myself on a train and since then, and I see a pregnant person, I will literally call people out. You need to get up.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, you speak from experience with that. So
Did I
great, yeah.
take that personally?
Right.
Did it sound like that
Little
was
bit, but
personal
no.
to me?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
it is.
All right. And then moving on to the next one. A toddler throws a tantrum in a store. Are you judging that parent or not?
No, I'm feeling like a deep level of empathy, sympathy, all the things
Yes.
for the parent.
Mhm.
When I see that,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go. Like, if let's say I'm in a big box retailer,
Mhm.
because that's usually where I see it. I literally want to like go find the like closest fruit snack and like open up the fruit snacks and be like, here, like I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll do that on a plane. Like I will
Yeah.
literally think like, okay, mom sort of, alarm going off. Like, what do I have in my bag that I can
Yeah.
give this parent to help them? My reaction is to like want to help, and I feel very bad
The
when
plane
that
one
happens.
is a good point because that happens living in Orlando. Every time I'm going home from anywhere, I'm
Yeah.
on a plane full of people going on a vacation with their Mickey ears and their Mickey backpacks, and
Yeah.
everybody is through the moon excited, and I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I'm probably going home from a work trip or something. And I'm like, ugh. And there's always kids right behind me that are like, Mom, what are we going next? Are we riding this? And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, you have to deal with this, you poor thing.
Yeah, no, it's I
Yeah.
feel bad. And I have to say, like, on the whole, I wish I had some wood to knock on. My kids were not, like crazy tantrum throwers. So I'm just like, you know what? I had
feel
a
bad.
decent
Yeah,
I had a decent, so I'll try to help.
Amazing. And so last segment before we sign off, we're doing a parent truth. And Jen, I want to ask you, judging parents before you have kids is like what?
Saying you want to go to the Olympics for track and you've never run around your block.
There you go. So it's like someone like me trying to give you, some words of wisdom, and you're looking at me like, oh, honey, you have no idea.
I'll just smile and nod. And, I'm from the South.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely, Sasha. That's
Yeah.
lovely. That's how I
In
feel
your head,
about
you're
that.
like, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you,
Amazing.
sweetheart. Thanks for the wise words.
Right? Oh, girl.
And then I'll roll my eyes and talk about you later.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
All right. I think that's it for today. Sasha, this was a very honest conversation.
Very honest. Might have said a little too much, but I swear we're not judging.
And also, don't judge us.
Exactly.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.